Hey everyone, happy week 4. So for this article discussion, I decided to read Jane Silcock's um, Genius and Gender, Women Artists and the Female Nude. Um, I have to say, this was just a simply delightful read. Um, it was very clear, it was very interesting. The author did a great job of organizing their thoughts, presenting it in a way that felt very chronological, but almost like a story that is sort of evolving within each person that was discussed. And I thought it was really awesome. So the whole point of this particular article was to discuss how women were also painting female nudes. Previously, of course, it was mostly men. And as we start to get in between 1870 to 1920 is when women were finally able to take part in education practices that would help guide their artistic endeavors. And this is Moon, who likes to be a part of everything in my life. Keep going, bud. There you go. So these women were mostly middle class, and in the first sentence alone, Silcock explains what the point of this article is, which is to investigate the education of these women artists and their personal influences, both from their class in society and the other influences in terms of artists that were present for them. So in 30 years, the number of women that were artists, female artists, it quadrupled, which was really amazing. And keep going, bud. Come on. It's very cute, but very in the way. And it was interesting because even though they were now a part of this kind of discussion, part of this practice, a part of this realm, I guess, they were still denied access to life sketches. So, interestingly enough, the artist also mentions Linda Nochlin. I was like, yay, we know her. I didn't know she was so influential in the discussion on, feminist point of view of art history. So I thought that was really kind of cool that Silcock brought her up. There was definitely tons of difficulty for these women trying to get into the artistic realm in terms of, just trying to prove their talent level. Assumptions that went along with their gender, opportunities weren't as available, and the perceived professionalism was also a little bit more of a negative outlook. And movement within the art world itself was also very challenging. So right out the gate, these women are not just deciding to become artists and doing it with ease and flourish. It was like a very upward climb to get to where they wanted to be. So Silcock talked about Gwen Johnson, Paula Modersohn Becker, Henrietta Ray, Annie Swinnerton, and Laura Knight. She covered each of these women and explained that, they were mostly middle class and can credit their success to the education that they received, both in their hometowns as well as in Paris. So to start with, Gwen John, she originated in London and then went to Paris, and her work is actually compared to be very Rembrandt-like, and she also went to the Slade School of Art. The interesting part that was with this particular figure is her affair with Rodin, which seems to have definitely affected her work quite a bit, with Paris providing plenty of opportunity. Throughout this discussion, Silcock also explains how women had access to certain, artistic practices, models, teachers, observing other artists as well. Paula Modersohn Becker started out in Berlin and then went to Paris, and she actually made like 50 nude portraits, and throughout her lifetime, 22 in 2 years, that's a lot of work. Wow. Silcock describes her as being purposefully primitive, which I thought was kind of an interesting description. And her work says to channel influences from a lot of male artists: Raphael, Cezanne, Van Gogh, Gauguin, Klimt. So those are all comparisons. But just like with John, she had a lot of opportunity in Paris. And then the author goes into the variety of education that was available in Paris, different academies, different schools that provided a lot of resources for these women. And then we discuss Henrietta Ray, who was a criticized artist. Not a lot of people really, especially the male point of view, liked her work. They felt that she tried to prettify her work, which I think was a really interesting adjective. It kind of seems like she was trying really hard to make all of her work like really pretty and appealing, and it might have taken away from the demonstration of her like true talent. And so her work wasn't always well received. But on the opposite end, Annie Swinnerton was credited for very intense realism. She was given a lot of career opportunities. She had technical mastery, purposeful brushwork, suffragist messages, which was really great to see too. And she got great success and accolades throughout her career. So she did really well. Laura Knight is the last artist that was covered, and she actually did a self-portrait of herself painting with a nude model behind her, which I felt was really interesting because I know a lot of artists, when they are trying to prove that their work is not just a craft but a career, they'll often include evidence of the art making process within the painting itself. And so not only is Swinnerton or is Knight doing that, but she's also doing so with like, hey, I have a right to be drawing nudes as well, whether they be male or female. So I thought that empowerment moment was kind of cool. She also, looked to other artists' work for inspiration, especially her future husband. And what Silcock sort of concludes with, after giving all these really great examples, is that these middle-class women really looked to education to help conquer their inhibitions, help develop their confidence, their technical skills. And so without these schools allowing women to be a part of the art world and conversation, they might not have had that chance. Of course, just saying that, they were allowed to be a part of this world doesn't mean that it was just simply open door, here they are doing their thing. It really was that they still had to continue to fight, even after they were accepted, even after they were enrolled in classes and courses. And so it was an ongoing process, but you can definitely see all the evidence of that through the example artist that Silcock talks about. Lovely article. If anyone hasn't, decided what they want to read yet, highly recommend this one. I thought it was a great read, really clear, very interesting, like a really good balance of very like educational learning with also kind of like cool fun fact learning, which I always like appreciate. And generally speaking, I thought this was a really interesting look at how women were starting to become more successful, both in royal academies as well as different schools of art that were, throughout Europe. And I think that's about it. All right, everyone. See you later. Bye.